Everybody, you're very welcome along to tonight's late night agenda. Now look, here's a bit of an inside tip for everybody. I know a lot of you guys are starting up YouTube channels or thinking about podcasts, stuff like that. Here's the top tip. Make sure you've got your microphone connected before you start. Otherwise, you'll be sitting here, smug as you like, ready to do the stream, looking around, green screen's grand, everything's tickety-boo, start talking and then go, oh, you didn't put your microphone in, dickhead. So there you go. Top tip, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you've got your microphone connected before you started. You know, you think I'd have gotten the hang of this, wouldn't you? It's only been, what, 4 years now? But, hey, still making mistakes. Tooth is all right, man. Well, the tooth is gone, to tell you the truth. Tooth is gone. MBAPPE news. Well, look, there isn't any. I don't know. Did Connor come up with an MBAPPE news story or something? I've got a little bit of stuff on MBAPPE, but nothing that's, you know, going to change all of the realities of the fact that he won't be coming to Liverpool. But look, we've loads to get through tonight. Loads and loads to get through. Look, before we get started, the Christmas holidays are coming up quick. And if you guys want to get yourselves a nice little treat, or maybe that loved one in your life, you know what I'm going to say. How's your balls? How are their balls? How's everybody's balls? Whatever state the balls are in, they can be that little bit better. If you go over to manscaped.com, have a look at the all-new Lawnmower 4.0, have a look at the whole Performance Package 4.0, maybe have a look at the 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner, or the brand new body wash infused with aloe vera and sea salt. The decision is yours ultimately, ladies and gentlemen, but you can get 20% off and free shipping with our discount code WFM20 with thanks to our friends at manscaped.com. Why would I say that? Do I always hear manscaped.com? Even though it's got nothing to do with Manscaped, but there you go. Right, look, loads to get through. I want to have a chat around the game, obviously against West Ham. I want to have a chat about some transfer gossip, because there was a little bit doing the rounds today as well. And I want to just get some reaction from you guys about the game yesterday, now that we've settled down and we've had time to digest it. We've watched Match of the Day too, and we've re-watched the game, and we've shouted at the dog and the cat and the budgie, and you know, because I'm still raging. I won't lie. I'm still absolutely raging about that game yesterday. I don't think it was a good look for Kloppo actually after the game, if I'm being honest. And that's one of the subjects I wanted to talk about tonight as well. So yeah, look, I'll just have a quick few hellos to everybody in the chat, and then we'll get stuck into it, because I know people watching this back later on won't give a shite about the chit chat at the start. So, right, let's get straight into it then. For me, yesterday, ladies and gentlemen, I watched back the game. I watched back the incidents. I still stand over what I said. I don't believe there was any foul on Alisson for the first goal. I think, look, I very rarely criticise Jurgen Klopp, because why the hell would I? The man is a messiah to us Liverpool fans. But I do think it was a bit of a salty, sour look yesterday when the game was over, and rather than say we lost to the better team on the day, which, let's be quite frank and honest about it, we did. West Ham were better than us. They were hungrier than us. They wanted it more than us yesterday, and that showed in our performance and their performance. And I didn't think it was a good look to see Klopp moaning about the VAR decisions after the game yesterday, because look, over the course of this season, we've had a few that have gone our way. We have. And I just thought I would have liked them to have been a bit more complimentary towards David Moyes' team, because I feel like that they deserved the win yesterday. I want to talk about the 2 red card incidents as well. The whole game one that was a red card, and the one in our game which wasn't a red card. But just on the goal, the more I watch it back, the more I'm absolutely convinced that Alisson just absolutely makes a hames of it. And yeah, there's no excuses from me for that performance yesterday for the lads. I just think we lost to the better team on the day, and Jurgen Klopp, I think, needs to start taking a little bit more responsibility on these things, because we deserve to win. I don't know what game you were watching, Ryan, but we absolutely did not deserve to win that game yesterday. We were second best all over the pitch, mate. Man, to me, that's the way it was. Right, look, talking about this, though, we need to talk about our defensive situation, because it was good today to spend some time reading up articles from non-Liverpool fans, from non-Liverpool based journalists around the game yesterday, and around how easy it seems to be to get at Liverpool and for us to concede. And I think it all comes back to the fullback situation at Liverpool Football Club. We laud them, and rightly so. We've got 2 of the best attacking fullbacks, probably 3 if you throw Costa Simicas in there, in the Premier League right now. But for whatever reason, we don't seem to have enough cover when we turn over possession. Now, I'm not throwing shade at Jordan Henderson or Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. I think they did as best they could yesterday, coming back in to cover those positions that were left. But with the high line that we play, it seems to be we're rolling the dice too much. I don't know if maybe we need to sacrifice a little bit of our attacking intent to shore things up at the back going forward, but it's just too easy. We've conceded 11 goals in 11 games in the Premier League this season. Won a game, that's not good enough, to be honest with you. I think we've nearly conceded 3 times more goals than Chelsea. So, is it down to tactics? Is it down to the players at his disposal? I suppose, look, they go hand in hand, don't they? If it is down to the tactics, and part of what we do is defending from the front. It's why Klopp talks about Bobby Firmino so much in glowing terms, because he's very important to us defending from the front. And if you can get past their press, if you can get past their midfield, then yeah, there is some space there. But we need to figure out a way we can defend that space a little bit better, because it's too easy for teams to get at us. And when we do what we did yesterday, which was give up the ball far too easily, slack passes, wrong decisions in the final third, that means that with one little pass around the press or a good little bit of play from the likes of Jared Bowen or whomever, we're open, and we're open to the counter. When you've got somebody like Mikel Antonio, or let's say a Marcus Rashford, or any other speed merchant in the Premier League bearing down on you, it's going to leave us open, and we can't always be reliant on Alisson Becker or Virgil van Dijk or Joe Matip to bail us out. We need to look at this, I think, as a collective, as a unit. Same way we defend from the front, we need to talk about how we defend in transition, because we're getting caught out in transition an awful lot. And look, Klopp's no idiot. Klopp knows this. Pep Linders knows this. They've forgotten more about football than I'll ever know about football. But if an idiot like me and regular working class people that just enjoy football and watch the game can see this stuff, you can bet your bottom dollar that the likes of, Pep Guardiola or, Conte or whoever is picking up on it as well. So I just wanted to have a conversation about how we could potentially stop those defensive fragilities from getting any worse, because it's all very well and good with Mohamed Salah scoring, but when we won the league title, being able to grind out a 1-0 win, being able to see teams out or score a goal or two and shut them out. We don't seem to be able to do that at the minute. So I'm wondering why. I'm wondering, is it because of a little tweak to formation from Jurgen Klopp, or is it because of Virgil van Dijk not being back to his best? Is it because we're getting caught out maybe a couple of times trying to play that high line defensively, and VAR, as good as it is, on those decisions on offside, it's pretty spot on. We're getting caught out a little bit, and I just don't know what it is. But I think yesterday's result was coming. We've seen us throw away 2-goal leads a few times this season, and we've been bailed out with our attack on a few occasions. We've been bailed out by being able to have the likes of Mohamed Salah put out a worldie or something. So, yeah, it's there's a few people in the team right now that just simply aren't pulling their weight. And if we're being really honest about it, like really honest, pushing aside all our inbuilt biases, Thiago's not having the impact we would have hoped. Naby Keita, the frustration continues to go on. Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, where is his position in the team? The problem I find, looking at it, is we know Fabinho's going to play. Fabinho's in the holding midfield role. No argument about it whatsoever. But we don't have, outside of Jordan Henderson perhaps, we don't really have anybody who you would say offers something different. So Naby Keita and Thiago are supposed to be those players for us that are able to unlock a low block or play that killer pass around the corner or offer us that something different going forward. But we're not getting that because they're constantly injured. And then when they are available to play, Klopp's bringing them off the bench for 20 minutes to go. I'm confused by it, and I'm confused by what the answer is, because the answer to me is buy a midfielder. Buy a midfielder who is either going to do the work that Gini Wijnaldum got through in midfield, or buy a midfielder who maybe is going to do something a little bit different. And you know what? The more I think about it, we all probably instinctively think about a midfielder for Liverpool as somebody like Houssam Aouar, or an attacking midfielder. I don't know if that's the answer. I honestly don't know if creativity in midfield is actually the answer. I know that sounds nuts, but I don't like to use the phrase water carriers because it's very, I think it undermines a lot of the good work that I like the Henderson does. But we need people to work their asses off in midfield. We need people to be able to get up and down. We need people to be able to drop in and cover. And that's not a Thiago, and that's not an Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain in the system that we play. Does that make any sense? If it doesn't, feel free to spell it out to me, because I'm kind of spitballing here. But looking at the last few games, I just think through the middle, too easy. Bing, bang, bosh. One ball over the top into the channel, and we're opened up like a can of tuna. So, for me, I'd like to see that workhorse brought back in. I'd like to have us have that solid midfield base of three, and whether it's, let's say, Fabinho in the holding role, and Hendo sits back with him, or maybe, let's say, Gini Wijnaldum, who isn't at the club, but let that type of midfielder, one goes, one stays, one goes, one stays, and they build up that relationship, because whatever we talk about in midfield, Thiago should play, Keita should play, Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain should play. What we don't have is consistency. What we don't have is consistency of selection. What we don't have is those players forming an understanding together through repetition of playing 10, 15, 20 games in a row. And that's a massive headache, because everywhere else on the pitch we have these relationships. Henderson and Trent on the right, Trent and Salah on the right, even Elliott and Salah. On the left side there was some relationships there obviously between Robbo and Mane, and even at times between Naby Keita and Mane. But we don't have that relationship between the midfielders. Does that make sense? And look, of course, I'm probably gone completely over the top after a loss yesterday and, you know, trying to find out every possible reason to why and how we lost that game. But I think the answer, and the only answer, can be to go and buy a midfielder. And it doesn't have to be a Jude Bellingham for 90 million or 100 million, as much as I'd like it to be. There are other options out there. Right, let's move on and have a chat around this. Let's see how you guys are feeling about this. The answer is Wijnaldum. What are FSG doing? The sausages said Quinch. Bring back Wijnaldum in January. It's possible. You know, I don't think it is possible to bring him back. I know where you're going with it, that Gini doesn't look like he's overly happy at PSG, but I think he's starting to force his way into Mauricio Pochettino's thinking a little bit more. Scored a couple in the Champions League for them, as an example, during the week. Gravenberch. The problem with Gravenberch, though, big country, is his agent. His agent is Mina Raiola. That's the problem. Because I think, as a footballer, Ryan Gravenberch would probably be right up Jurgen Klopp's street. I just don't know if the club would deal with Mina Raiola again. One-handed gamer said you don't need to buy when you lose. No, we need to buy because we need to buy. It's got nothing to do with the reaction of the loss, mate. We've been talking about needing a midfielder since the summer. We talked about it when Gini wasn't replaced, and if anything, now it's showing that we need it. So I don't think it's reactionary. We've been talking about this for a while now, in fairness. The squad needs serious reinvestment and freshness. We can't expect Klopp to do miracles every season with no transfer activity, no squad improvement, said Akash. Thank you for the super chat, mate. I agree. I agree with you. And look, I don't think you'll find many Liverpool fans who don't think that the squad needs to be a little bit refreshed. Yeah. Mick said Gini was shit last season. Maybe, Mick. Maybe. I don't think he was shit. I wouldn't use that term myself, but what he was last season, Mick, was available and there to play every time Jurgen Klopp needed him, which we can't say the same about a current crop of midfielders. So I've had people over the last few days say to me, look, you don't need another midfielder. You have 7, 8 top quality midfielders at Liverpool. How could you possibly need another one? My argument is always, we don't get 10, 15, 20 games in a row from any of these guys. Henderson picks up injuries. Thiago, injuries. Oxlade-Chamberlain, injuries. Naby Keita, injuries. Milner, not so much. Pretty bulletproof, but still getting on. Father Timey, you know, isn't going away from. Curtis Jones, as with any young footballer, still learning his trade. Few ups, few downs. Not consistent enough yet, but that will come. He's a young footballer. I'm not knocking Curtis Jones. Harvey Elliott, yes, extremely unfortunate what happened there. But I don't take that as an excuse, because we should be planning for these eventualities. We should know how many games we should expect to get out of each midfielder based on their performances or their injury record over the past 3, 4, 5, 6 years. I know this is all very simplistic, but sometimes the answers are quite simple. One-handed game said, it is reaction. When, if, you'd be fine if we won. See, mate, this is where I would take a little bit of umbrage. Is the right word? This is where I disagree with you a little bit, because you can look back on any of the videos that I've made over the past 2-3 months, and you will see that I'm consistently saying we need that midfield option. More so than the attacking option. Attacking, yes, we do need an attacker, but I do think with 4 attackers, we're somewhat okay. Yes, AFCON is a once-off thing that's going to give us a headache, but I do feel like I've been fairly consistent on speaking about a midfielder. And I think maybe what's after happening maybe just brought it back to light a little bit. So, you know, I would say I'm one of the less reactionary people. I mean, you won't find me on Twitter, as an example, yesterday, bitching and moaning about the game. You won't find me on Instagram moaning about the game, because I stay away from it, because, you know, I need to let my emotions calm down after a game like that yesterday. And, yeah, look, that's my take on it. But is FSG going to actually put their hands in their pockets? And is it right to say that Jurgen Klopp's not completely without blame? You know, dare I say it? We don't criticise Jurgen Klopp much, but I don't like the excuses, first and foremost. As I said at the start of the video, that winds me up, because I know what he has to say publicly, but we all know that Alisson shit the bed yesterday, and that's okay. Alisson's bailed us out numerous times, and goalkeepers make mistakes, and sometimes one mistake can lead to another mistake, and Alisson has that in his locker, unfortunately. But, you know, he will more than make up for that with the amount of amazing saves that he makes. So, yeah. The title got me smiling a little bit about MBAPPE. What's the news on MBAPPE? Right, on Kylian MBAPPE, we'll quickly go over this one. So, a report came out in Spain. Let me just grab this up on WhatsApp. Sorry, I need to just grab up the image. 1 second. Sorry, folks. Give me 2 seconds. Let me grab this up so I can read it out correctly for you. Right, here we go. Right, so there's an article doing the rounds. You guys may have seen it. And it suggested that Kylian MBAPPE is keen to play for Jurgen Klopp. Nothing really new there, because, you know, we'd heard the stories about Mbappe wanting to come to Liverpool with regards to playing under Jurgen Klopp and the fans and all that stuff. But a new Spanish article suggests that as much as it looks nailed on that he's going to go to Real Madrid, that apparently Kylian Mbappe is having some second thoughts about the idea of playing under Carlo Ancelotti at Madrid and the way Carlo Ancelotti plays, which has put Liverpool on alert. You know, that kind of... I don't think we're ever going to sign Kylian Mbappe, but, as I said, according to El Nacional, he's not convinced by Real Madrid boss Carlo Ancelotti, which isn't a great sign if they're looking to bring him in. But it's also not a great sign for anybody that's looking at him as a potential option, because I've not liked a lot of the attitude from Mbappe this season, if I'm being really honest with you. When I look at him at PSG, and I spoke about the penalty thing with Messi before, but, you know, you'd see the images of him talking snidey about Neymar, I think it was, on the bench one time when he got substituted as well. And look, for the amount of money that it's going to take to bring Kylian Mbappe into any football club, be it Liverpool or anywhere else, you would want somebody who's firing on all cylinders. So, for me, look, I don't think we're signing Kylian Mbappe. I don't. But while he's going to be a free agent in the summer, you know, we can but get the rosary beads out and pray. But would we really want them? I know that sounds mad. Would we? Because attitude's a big thing, particularly in a squad like ours. And he has all the talent in the world, Kylian Mbappe, no doubt about that. One of the multiple Ballon d'Or winner in the future, probably, and has the world at his feet. I suspect strongly he will end up at Real Madrid, but, you know, what you saying, folks, basically? What are you saying? Would you have him? James Clayton, thank you for the super chat, James. Said, Craig, I would 100% have Tielemans come in for us. Do you think it's possible for him to come in January? Don't know about January, mate, because Leicester will have their own season plans. But I would say to you that I do think Youri Tielemans is attainable. Until he signs that new contract at Leicester, it seems to be to the outside world that he's given out a bit of a signal of, I'm not quite happy, or maybe I can do a little bit better. Maybe he's holding out for a better contract offer. I don't know. But he was given a new contract offer after the Euros. Hasn't signed it as of yet. And look, Youri Tielemans at the right price would be phenomenal for us. I think Youri Tielemans would certainly give us the work rate that we need in midfield, would certainly give us the ability to create things from outside the box. He loves a strike. He scored a couple of worldies in the last month alone. And look, yeah, it's always been a link there. And what's always stopped me was I just didn't think Leicester would sell. I think, Leicester usually get good money when they sell to a Premier League rival, and Yuri Tielemans is going to have no shortage of offers with the contractual situation that he has. Weirdly, though, I still don't know if we're going to do any business in January. I really don't get the feeling that we're going to do that. And I think we all know what we're probably going to expect in January. The January signing may well be just Mohamed Salah signing that new contract. And look, I'm sure that would make many of us happy, but still isn't going to solve the issues that we have in midfield. Jordan said, "Hi Craig, if you remember me last night, West Ham fan, thought we just wanted it more. We've got such a togetherness." I mean, yeah, Jordan, I agree. Last night for me, West Ham did want it more. And we look like the team that were playing Thursday night European football away from home that week, and not you guys. So, you got your win, you deserved your win, mate. No sour grapes from me. So yeah, congratulations, mate. Wish you the best for the rest of the season. Don't want you to finish above us, obviously, Jordan, but if you guys can nick a Champions League place and push United into the Europa League, I'm not against it, Jordan. I'm not against it, dude. Right, I'm going to try to get through as many of your comments as I can, because I'm aware that there's a lot of you guys in tonight, and I appreciate you being here. I know it's an international break, but I had a tooth pulled out earlier on today, and I swear it's like a weight lifted off my shoulders, because this tooth has been giving me an awful time for the past few months. Do I think Ox needs to be moved on in the summer? Said Stephen Dunn. Yes, I do. And look, it's so difficult to talk about this, Stephen, because all of us like Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. All of us like him as a person. All of us, well, not that we know him, but we like the look of him. We like the impact he's had around the club. He's always positive, always smiling. But sentiment isn't going to win us a Premier League. So for me, I think the tough decisions need to be made. And Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, if we could find a buyer, for me, should be one that we look to move on. I just don't know. The big question for me with Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, it boils down to one thing. Can I ever see a time where he commands a regular place? And the answer is no, because I don't know what position. James Milner, similar thing. James Milner has been utilised at left back, right back, midfield. And that's been okay at his age because he's that versatile. But Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, I don't ever see him being able to nail down a starting place. Like, if I was to say to you right now, what's Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain's best position? You may have an answer for me, but would he be able to get into Liverpool in that position? I think the answer is no. And that's kind of where I'm going with it. I just think the answer is no. I just think he's a very good footballer, but not a master of any one position. And I think we need an out-and-out number 8. Reform said MBAPPE is too much of a diva for Klopp. His wages are too high. MBAPPE mentality will change under Klopp. That's a fair point, Ryan. That is a fair point. I mean, you couldn't be angry working under Klopp, could you? We need to be ruthless and move him on, said Captain Sal. We need a further midfield clear out. Oxlade-Chamberlain, Millie, Thiago to be moved on, said not the real John W. Henry. Joe Blog will trade Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain for a chicken fillet roll. So probably get a little bit more from than that, mate, to be fair. And look, I like Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, but I don't want us to be a team of nice guys. I don't. I want us to be a team of snidey bastards. I do. And for all the goodwill in the world and the occasional worldie that Chamberlain scores, and look, I don't want this to solely focus on Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, by the way, because there are other culprits in midfield that I think we should be talking about, and Thiago, Naby Keita are probably the two most high-profile players that I think we should have a discussion about, because Thiago Alcantara, on the face of it, 25 million quid over the course of 4 years of his contract, 5 million a season, or 5 million signing on fee was what it roughly worked out at. Sounds great, but when we're being told that we have the second, third highest wage bill in the league, and that You know, James Milner's on about 140, 150 grand a week, and we have Thiago Alcantara, I think, on about 200 grand a week. Like, that's a lot of money going out for players that are never really going to nail down a starting position, if that makes any sense. So for me, I think if we're facing the reality of owners that look at the bottom dollar a lot, talk about wages and stuff like that, I think we need to free those wages up in order for Jurgen Klopp to be able to bring in somebody else and give them a wage that they will probably expect, like they'd get elsewhere. Again, I know this is a lot of rambling, but I guess I'm kind of just thinking out loud with a lot of the stuff I'm saying today, and hoping for some feedback on it. So look, let's drop back into the chat anyway. Rafinha is coming in the summer, said Reform, don't worry. Wouldn't say no, mate. Wouldn't say no. Would I want Van der Beek to be number 8? No. I think Donny van der Beek is a good footballer. I just don't think with the form he's in now, it would be the right move for us. Do I think we should sign Rafinha in January? He won't move in January, mate. I'd be amazed if he does. I think he'll see out the season with Leeds and then potentially move on in the summer. The high line also took Fabinho's influence out of the game. Yeah, because when you play the high line, and it's a good point, who was it, Crick? When you play the high line, the space between your defensive midfielder and your centre-backs is minimal. So you're right, there isn't much area there for him to be mopping up in. Vernon said Harvey Barnes would be great in January. Did you see his goal for Leicester yesterday? It was quality, wasn't it? I mean, I've been banging on about Harvey Barnes for ages, and look, I haven't seen a scouting report on Harvey Barnes for a while, but the ones that I did see on him, you know, they were glowing, you know. So Harvey Barnes, Jeremy Doku, Rafinha, yep. I mean, I'm not saying no. Yuri Tielemans wouldn't say no. Yuri Tielemans and Bissouma probably the most Klopp ready, reasonably priced alternative options that we could have in midfield. Obviously, we'd look at Jude Bellingham. There was a young lad as well we're being linked with from Real Sociedad, so I wanted to bring that up as well. Where is this? 1 second. There was even an article doing the rounds, by the way, I don't know if you guys seen this, that said that Jurgen Klopp wanted to sign Edinson Cavani before Cavani renewed his deal with Manchester United. I don't know if you guys seen that one doing the rounds, but do you know what? On the face of it, you think bullshit, but you could absolutely see Edinson Cavani in a Klopp system. So my first instinct was to call bullshit on it, but then my second instinct was maybe Klopp was just trying to be a little bit clever here. Maybe he was trying to bring in that experience, hard working forward to tide us over. And he thought, well, look, if United aren't going to renew his deal, then maybe we'll have a look at him. But United did renew it, so it's a moot point. So, yeah, Liverpool consider Jude Bellingham alternative. That's the highlight of this one. Again, comes from Facajes, who are a Spanish outlet. And they say, Liverpool have reportedly eyed up a possible transfer alternative to Jude Bellingham. The Reds have been linked with Borussia Dortmund midfielder in recent months, but now a new name has emerged as an alternative. According to Facajes, again, I'm most likely butchering that pronunciation, Liverpool will look to target Real Sociedad midfielder Mikel Merino should they fail to sign Bellingham. Merino was thought to have a release clause of £51.4 million, which is considerably less than any fee that Jude Bellingham would cost. Now, interestingly on that one as well, another major difference between the two there is that Jude Bellingham doesn't have a release clause. He doesn't have a buyout clause. So, it's not like Liverpool can go, okay, there's the 100 million quid, he's ours. Not that we would do that, I'm just saying we can't even do that. But with this kid, £51 million and he's yours, nothing that Real Sociedad could do about it. So I have to say, I know Real Sociedad are a good team. I know Real Sociedad have high hopes for their chances of potentially even winning La Liga this year. But I will be entirely honest and say, outside of knowing that they're a good team, I don't know too many of the individual players, and certainly wouldn't be able to say whether Merino, this guy, was good enough. But again, this is where I'm hoping somebody watches a lot of Sociedad and would be able to give me a heads up on them. Joe Blogg said Cavani's great off the ball, always working. Yeah, he is. He's a hard working lad. Definitely, and he's got a very infectious attitude as well, Edinson Cavani. But look, he's a United player, so I just thought I'd bring it up because it was in one of the articles I read today. Vernon said, quality goal from Harvey Barnes. We need him. Are we going to end this season with a major trophy? See, this is what worries me, Sinobino. If we don't get a trophy this season, I think we're in a little bit of trouble. Dare I say it? Because, we can't rest on the laurels of that one amazing 12-month period where we won the Premier League, we won the Champions League, we won the Club World Cup, we won the Super Cup. That's great. But we need to be consistently winning trophies. That's why I've never liked the idea of turning our nose up at the League Cup as an example. A trophy's a trophy. You only get a chance to really play for 4 of them in a season, 4 major trophies if you're lucky enough to be in the Champions League. Does Doku have a buyout clause? Hand on heart, I don't know off the top of my head. I will be able to get you an answer on it, Jack. I don't know off the top of my head. Now, I do remember seeing figures of around 40 to 45 million pound being mentioned for Jeremy Doku, but you know what, mate, I don't want to lie to you, so I won't be able to tell you off the top of my head if there's a buyout clause, but I will be able to find it out. Not in a title race if we play like the way we have been, said Andy Hughes. I agree, Andy. There's no way that we can look at the consistency that we've shown, or the lack of it, in recent weeks and think that we're going to maintain a title charge. And one of the reasons I say that is we're going to be even more depleted, as we know, in January when the AFCON is on. We know we're going to lose Mohamed Salah. We know we're going to lose Sadio Mane. We know, if he's fit, we're going to lose Naby Keita. So, for me, and I think maybe some other Liverpool fans, we were hoping to get off to a flyer at the start of the season, bank some points, and maybe even have a little bit of a buffer between us and, second or third place in the league. And I think we were maybe, I don't want to say lulled into a false sense of security, but it's a weak league this year. And by that I mean it's not going to take 95, 96 points to win the Premier League. I think 88 points, maybe 90 points could win the Premier League. Maybe even less than that. So it just feels like it's one of them seasons where if anyone can put a run of games together consistently, win 10, 11 games in a row, I think the league title is theirs. And right now, we're sitting in 4th place behind Chelsea, who are top, Manchester City, West Ham, and we're looking over our shoulders. And I can't believe I'm about to utter these feckin' words, but we're looking over our shoulders at Arsenal. Arsenal. We're in a position where if we lose to Arsenal after the international break, they're going to overtake us. Arsenal, get your heads around that. Banter FC, Arsenal, could go ahead of us. And we're sitting here trying to have a conversation around a potential league title. Do you know what I mean? It's, it doesn't compute, does it? It doesn't really add up. I think we're fooling ourselves. I think that Mohamed Salah's amazing form at the start of the season, I think, has masked a few deficiencies in our squad. That's genuinely where I don't think we're as good as we think we are. But I still think we'll win the Champions League. I do. I still think we'll win the Champions League. Joe said it's one game we lost. Relax. It is one game, Joe. But you add that to the, 4 or 5 draws that we've had this season, mate. And you quickly see the points adding up there that we've dropped. So, I'd happily have lost 3 games, mate, and won the rest than do it the way we have done. Docu for the future, I've seen 40 million, said JS Snipes. How are you, said Ali. I'm good, man. I'm good, thank you. Hope you're well. It's only 4 points, we can easily get back into it. Again, Mohammed, you're right. On the face of it, you're absolutely right. But let's look at it from a wider context. Manchester City as an example. They've played Chelsea, they've played Liverpool, they've played Manchester United all away from home in the first half of the season, and they're sitting in 2nd place. So you have to think about it from that side as well. Whereas in our games against the big top 6, I think we've taken 2 points, which, I don't include United, to be fair. And I probably shouldn't have included them then for Manchester City away from home, because Manchester United are all kinds of shite this season. And realistically, though, the game against Chelsea at home, is it 2 points dropped? I'd say yeah. as good as they defended, the fact they were down to 10 men, we probably should have won that game. And Manchester City at home, I think we absolutely should have been able to see that out once Mohamed Salah scored that wonder goal. But again, we dropped points. So, look, I'd be more than happy to be proved wrong. Of course, I want Liverpool to be in a title race. I do. But I just look around the Premier League and I look at Manchester City and I look at Chelsea. And do you know what? Even West Ham yesterday. You look at the options that West Ham had on the bench yesterday. And I have to say, I wouldn't have minded a few of those options for Jurgen Klopp to be able to bring on. Dropping points at home to Brighton was criminal. Said it was in time. Yeah, it was. It was. To be 2-0 up like that and cruising is good. And look, we were lucky to get out of that game with a point, if we're being entirely honest with ourselves. I thought Brighton on the day showed tremendous courage and positivity to play the way back into the game, but we let them into the game. We should have killed it off. What's this? John said, after the dirty tactics yet again against a team way better, I really hope this is Watford get dumped down to the Championship at the end of the season. Can I ask for a quick poll if I can? Actually, do you know what? Maybe I'll actually do a poll up. 1 second. Look at me here trying to actually do shit. Right, I'm going to throw a quick poll into the chat. 1 second. No, I'm going to rephrase this. 1 second, folks. I'm going to throw a poll up into the chat. Okay, right. I've whacked a poll into the chat there, folks, and I want to get your opinion on it. Quite simply, the question that I asked in the chat was, should West Ham have gone down to 10 yesterday? And I want to see how you guys feel about this one, because it's been split amongst the fan base. And I'm still in the camp that thinks it wasn't a red card, by the way. But I did look at the Holgate incident. A lot of you guys kept mentioning to me during the watch-along yesterday about the Mason Holgate incident in the Everton game. And I have to say, I don't think the two challenges are comparable in any way, shape or form. Because Holgate intentionally followed through. So he went through the tackle and still lifted the studs up and went through. So for me, that was a red. If that challenge had happened yesterday, I would have been calling for a red. But I don't think that the Cresswell challenge was a red. Jude said, you'll win against Arsenal, no doubt. Well, yeah, I should hope so, mate. I'm very confident about it. Fabio said, it looks like a joke, but Origi was man of the match in the second half. Yeah, look, I have to eat a little bit of humble pie on Divock yesterday. That goal, low-key from Divock Origi, was stunning. I watched it back last night. That was a serious bit of centre-forward play from Divock for that goal. And, credit to him. He took it magnificently well. Again, I'm just... thank you for the people that are commenting on the red card thing, but I'm just going to let the poll run for a minute more because, I think the poll is probably a better way of getting an indication whether it was a red or not. And look, we'll all see it differently. Football is subjective, whether we like to see it or not. But to me, I don't think the challenges are comparable. I don't. Now, I'm not trying to enforce my will on anybody else. I'm just giving you my opinion. I thought that Holgate's was a red card, but I thought the Cresswell's was unfortunate, shall we say. Right, let's have a look at the poll anyway. We'll end the poll. No, I'll give it another minute or two. Throw a couple more votes up. And I guess at 300 votes, I'll end the poll. And we'll see what you guys have come up with. It looks like I'm going to lose on this one, to be fair. But that's all right. That's why I asked the question. Just happy to get a consensus on things. Marco said, opinions on Mane. Is he good enough to start anymore? Would you bench him for Origi or Minamino? No, not for either of those two, mate. Could he come under pressure if we were to bring in another good attacking wide forward? Yes, maybe. But I've seen signs of Sadio Mane getting back to his best a little bit. But that moment yesterday, that big moment, we talk about clutch players like Ronaldo in these situations. I just can't help but feel that he should have buried that goal right at the end of the game. Not at the end of the game, just as we were going into injury time, that header, that diving header at the from the crossing from Trent, he should have scored that. He should have. It can happen to anybody, I get it, but you should have scored it. Right, we've got the 300 votes. Let's have a look at the poll results. Just come up here into the chat, one sec. Right, so, close. 52% think that it was a red card. 47% think it wasn't. I don't know what happened to the other 1% there, by the way, because there was only 2 options. But, so yeah, look, you can see there, even based by the chat, very close. So, take from that what you will. I don't think we resolved the issue, but look, hey, good to know that people are as split as I thought they were. Though I think Liverpool can win another title before Klopp's contract ends. Yes, I do. Would I be confident of it? Not really. No, because I think every year that goes by that we don't get serious investment in the playing squad. We're seeing Manchester City and Chelsea pull away from us with regards to the squad depth. United catch up with us. West Ham right up there now challenging Leicester. So I think it's going to be harder and harder to even get into the top 4 in the next few seasons, let alone to continuously mount a title challenge. And I think the reason I'm so confident for the Champions League is they're not one-off games, but over a 2-legged knockout affair, I think it'll take a very, 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 very good team to beat us in front of Anfield, in front of the Anfield crowd, and with the lads hyped up. Whereas I don't think we'll have the consistency over the course of 38 games to win the Premier League as things stand, with the impact on the season of the AFCON. So yeah, I think we can win a couple more league titles, one more certainly before 2024, if Jurgen Klopp gets the backing of the board to go out there and bring in a midfielder and an attacker. And without having to sacrifice more players. Like, let's say we move on, we spoke about this at the start of the video, let's say we moved on Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain and James Milner. I'm not for 1 second thinking that we just go out there and sign one midfielder, because we'll still have lost 3 midfielders then. So if we lose Milner, we lose Chamberlain, we've lost Gini Wijnaldum. Maybe you can account for one of those with Harvey Elliott's minutes, potentially. But we're still going to be down midfielders to me, so I think we have to invest. I don't know of any new news on Harvey Elliott's recovery, mate, other than obviously the images that we've seen of him doing bits and pieces of Kirby. We need a Declan Rice, to be fair. Do you know, that's probably the type of footballer I was talking about earlier on with regards to somebody who can get up and down, somebody who can be an engine in the middle of the park, somebody... And look, Declan Rice is starting to add goals to his game this season as well. I don't think we'll get Declan Rice, by the way, but I do think maybe Tielemans is a very good option. I mean, Liverpool won't pay what it takes to get Rice. Not a hope. He's almost certainly going to end up at Chelsea in my head. Andy said, we're bound to lose at some point, but it's usually the way we lose, which is always hard to swallow. We definitely need some new blood. I think that's a very, very good point, Andy. Spot on, mate. Well said. You know, it's never nice to lose, Andy. I think you're right in saying that one. And, you know, the potential of losing a game you expect to win in the Premier League is probably fairly high. But when you see why we lose and it's so glaringly obvious, you wonder to yourself, could we have done stuff during the game? I mean, for instance, David Moyes spoke about a little tweak he made to, not Ben Rama, the other dude in midfield, who was playing as a 10 for them yesterday. What's his name? Fornals. He spoke about a little change he made with Fornals that opened up a bit more space for them. I just wonder if or what changes Klopp made to really impact the game. Who do I support? Liverpool, mate. The channel's called Anfield Agenda, and it's not that hard to figure out who I support. Um, Craig, is it just me or the midfielder so slow and not creative? I think that's by intention, though. Yassine, I mean Yassine, excuse me, and by intention, I mean that's not a bad thing if they're all in unison. So if we have three midfielders who are all really hard working, do the simple things but know their job, that can be a huge plus in a system where they drop in to cover the fullbacks. But if we're chopping and changing and bringing in an Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain who isn't that type of midfielder, or we're bringing in a Thiago who isn't that type of midfielder, then I think it'll require a little change in system. David said, just can't see Bellingham this summer. Can't see Dortmund selling both Haaland and Bellingham. Yeah, look, I'm very, 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 very confident that if Bellingham leaves Dortmund, he'll end up at Liverpool. But like you, David, it is hard to look at the situation at Borussia Dortmund, particularly with the fact that they're looking to bring Joe Bellingham over as well now to really try and settle the family in Dortmund. So as much as Jude Bellingham would be ideal, and I think would happily come and play for Liverpool, I think what you've said there about the fact that one of them has a release clause and one of them doesn't, so therefore Haaland most likely going to move on, I think it's a fair shout. Which is why I brought up the link earlier on to the guy from Real Sociedad, Merino, Merino, who we were linked with, who does have a release clause. Bobby is big miss in a physical team like West Ham. Yep, no disagreement. But see, this is what gets to me a little bit, Mullers. I'm not disagreeing with you. You're spot on. Having no Bobby Firmino is always going to be a kick in the nuts and always going to be difficult to replace. But we need to look past the starting 11. We have to start looking past the starting 11 and looking at having a starting 16. We really need to do that, or we're going to be having this conversation over and over and over again with what ifs. What if Salah was there? What if Mane was there? What if Bobby wasn't injured? What if Thiago was there? And all these what ifs just come repetitive into a point of we could resolve these issues. Merino isn't Moreno, mate. It's a different lad. You're thinking of the lad that was at Liverpool, I think. Albi Moreno, not the same lad. Was Merino in the Premier League? I don't believe he was. I could be wrong. Do you think the days consistently winning trophies and dominating football are over, like in the 70s and 80s? This is the best chance, we need to take advantage of it. That's what's killing so many of us, mate. Exactly what you've said there. We can see how good the group is, the first 11. We can see how good the manager is. We can see that we're not too far away. And we can see that we've done it in a way that is more palatable to a lot of us than having a sugar daddy that would go out there and just throw money at the problem. We've been very clever and creative in a lot of ways, but it just always feels like we're that close, doesn't it? When you win a league title, you want to push on. You want to win another league title. You want to back it up, showing that it wasn't a fluke. You want to back that up by winning another league title. And I just wonder, is the ambition really there from the owners? Like, really there? They'll talk it. They'll say, yes, it's there. They'll point to the high wage bill and all of this stuff, but is it really there? Because they didn't replace Lovren. That cost us an entire season with regards to centre-backs headaches. This season, they didn't replace Gini Wijnaldum, and here we are now scraping together a midfield to play against West Ham the other day. A midfield that we just about were able to play three midfielders. It's mad, isn't it? Just about able to play it. Thiago obviously deemed not available to play the entire game, so he came on for a little bit. And other than that, we were struggling to even put out a midfield. And we had a conversation not 2 months ago about having 7 or 8 first choice midfielders. Jamrock said, what happened now? Why Liverpool excuses need to stop? What I meant from that title, Jamrock, was Jurgen Klopp needs to stop making fucking excuses. He needs to stop talking about VAR. He needs to stop talking about referees' decisions gone against him. And he needs to just man up and realise we lost yesterday because we were outfought. And it wasn't to do with Alisson being impeded. It wasn't to do with Cresswell not getting sent off. It's because West Ham were better than us. wanted it more than us, looked better prepared than us. And he needs to just be humble enough to say we were beaten by the better team and not look for a fucking excuse. Because I just don't do excuses, mate. The solutions have to be found, and the referee isn't always the bogeyman. There doesn't always need to be a scapegoat. Sometimes we need to just be big enough and bold enough to admit Alisson had an absolute stinker of a game and just put it like that. I just don't like the excuses. I'm fed up of it. You can't tell us all summer that you can't improve the squad. You can't tell us all summer that it's difficult to bring in anybody that's better than the players that we have. And then we're left in this situation where we're already fucking running out of midfielders. To me, you can't have it both ways. We either have to be big enough to admit that we're talking absolute pony when we're saying that we can't improve the squad. That's absolute nonsense. And it's just papering over the fact that the owners won't back them. Or we have to be big enough to say that on a day like yesterday, we lost to the better team and just say, we'll fix these problems. We'll put it right. We know what went wrong. I'm just sick of the excuses from Klopp at times. I am. I'm sick of it. I won't lie. It's the one thing about him that I don't like. Nobody wants to lose. Nobody's happy when they lose. But that interview yesterday where he just didn't say we were beaten by the better team, straight away it was onto the referee and VAR. And my impression in the game was I don't think this is what cost us at all. I think it's the fact that we were beaten by a better team on the day that cost us. That's my take on it. Jamrock said, I love that you said that, man. Our fan base needs a dose of reality. Look, again, man, thank you. I know me and you often disagree, Jamrock, on a few things, but what I will always say to your eternal credit, mate, is that you always pose your questions or your statements in a very friendly, very straightforward way. So I appreciate that as well, man. And look, I always tell you guys, I'll give you my honest opinion. Everything that I've said there, I still love Jurgen Klopp. I still don't want to change the manager. I am 100,000,000% behind Jurgen Klopp. I just don't think that the way that he's portraying himself is doing us many favours at the minute in that regard. It just looks salty, and I don't like it. And on that, actually, I asked you guys about the red card incident. Let me just ask you guys again about the first goal. Did we think that was a foul on Alisson? Are there many people in the chat that thought that that was a foul on Alisson? Because I watched it back again, and what I seen was Alisson jumping forward towards Ogbonna. I also seen Diogo Jota pushing. I'm not sure if he pushed Antonio into Alisson, but he certainly pushed and moved Alisson in a direction. And to me, I think Antonio just leapt up to get the ball. I think he just leapt up, and you use your arms as leverage when you jump. And I just think Alisson shit the bed, if I'm being honest with you. And not like that's from a keeper. I'm in the keepers union, you know what I mean? I'm somebody that wants to look out for goalkeepers, but I'm sorry, if that's me, I'm going through the back of Ogbonna and I'm getting that ball. You know, if I have to climb on his shoulders, I'm getting that ball. See, when people say his arm looked like it was impeded, I know what you're talking about, and I understand it, but what I will defend Ogbonna with is, I think if you're looking at this from zones of space, I don't think Ogbonna impeded Alisson by coming into his space. I think Alisson came into Ogbonna's space, and that's where the impediment came. He tried to reach over him to get the ball, and while Ogbonna was jumping up, he pulled his arm down. But that's because Alisson was going into him. I don't think Alisson, I don't think Ogbonna, you watch him, he didn't go backwards, he didn't lean into the keeper. I think it was, if anything, I think it was Ogbonna that was probably impeded by Alisson. I just can't be arsed with the excuses. Again, Craig, you need to watch Antonio interview on the record. He's saying they saw the keeper very protected, so he made sure he couldn't get up. Sorry, I just want to read that again. 1 second. Craig, you need to watch Antonio's interview. He's on record as saying he saw the keeper wasn't being protected, so he made sure he couldn't get up. Antonio wasn't involved in that incident, though, mate. Not really involved in it. It was between Alisson and Ogbonna at the end of the day. Look, Antonio was there on the line. But look, again, Alisson could have said to Virgil van Dijk, get in here and get in between me and him. Keep him away from me. So that's my take on it. Have to give West Ham credit for playing brilliantly. Absolutely. 100%, mate. And I made sure to do that in my post-match show yesterday as well. And I messaged the lads from the West Ham channel that I know to congratulate them on the win, because West Ham deserved that yesterday. They were, one of the attributes we often attribute to this Liverpool team is the never say die, fight attitude. But I thought we were out hustled yesterday by West Ham. And I mean that in a very complimentary way. They didn't look like they were the ones that had played on the Thursday night and should have been a little bit leggy. We were the ones that looked more tired, and they were full of energy. Mixed Magician said, I think Klopp's frustrated at FSG and is looking for excuses not to blame the squad's lack of quality at times. Yeah, look, of course, man, that's natural, you're right. The manager's not, I don't expect Klopp to come out and go, Alisson had an absolute shit game there, and we were invisible defending the fullback positions. But I would have expected him to come out and go, didn't go our way today. Those decisions on another day could have possibly gone forward, but full credit to West Ham. They were excellent, and we were beaten by the better team today. That's where I would have liked to have gone with it anyway. Antonio was stood next to Alisson, right? But how does that... Again, my point is Alisson jumped into Ogbonna, didn't jump into Antonio. Antonio was there to be a pest, absolutely. He was there to try and stop Alisson from getting off his line, 100%. But that happens week in and week out. And what you do is you either step forward or step back, or you get one of your big burly centre-backs to stand in between you and him and just get him out of your way. Ferb said, I agree, but even if Ogbonna was slightly blocking Alisson's arm, she'll be still doing better if he flattens Ogbonna. Fine, keep your eyes on the ball. Absolutely. That's exactly what I'm trying to say, mate. Alisson has the use of his arms. Alisson should be able to get up higher than Ogbonna and catch that ball or get to that ball at its highest point. To be out-jumped and outworked and out-hustled, it was pathetic. Let's be honest about it. It was pathetic. There's no way the likes of Manuel Neuer is having that happen to him. There's no way that Peter Schmeichel in his day was having that happen to him. No, not a chance. And look, I'm sure Alisson knows that. I'm sure Alisson knows that he should have done better. He's an intelligent man. I'm still waiting for the penalty you predicted. Yeah, you're right. I did. I predicted a Mohamed Salah penalty yesterday. I was wrong, of course. Yeah. I mean, what can I say? Put my hands up. I thought we were going to get a penalty. Again, for people tuning in, I said this before the game. I don't feel like we were hard done by if a penalty or anything. So how are we feeling? Before we finish up tonight, I wanted to do a couple of minutes on how you guys think that we should line up or look ahead to the Arsenal game. Because I don't want to live in a world where we're behind Arsenal in the Premier League. I don't want to be in that world. And whether we want to admit it or not, Arteta has Arsenal more confident, playing a little bit better and in a very good run of form. So we can't afford any more losses at home in the Premier League, any more points dropped at home in the Premier League. And that has to start by putting in a commanding performance and showing that we are infinitely better than Arsenal. So how do we go about that? Is it going to be the 4-3-3 again? And if it is going to be the 4-3-3, who? Who plays? Are we all of the mindset that right now, Andy Robertson should probably be rested and Costa Tsimikas at left back? Because that's certainly where my mind is at the minute. But I still don't know what the answer in midfield is. I really don't. Like, if we put Thiago in there from the start, is he going to be able to really dig in and make a difference in the game? And if he is going to play, how do we get the best out of Thiago? Do we maybe sacrifice a little bit of attacking intent with Henderson and get him to tuck back in alongside Fabinho a bit more to offer a little bit more cover to the centre-backs and the full-backs when they bomb forward? Costa's in, yes, says Falafel. Play Canada and Curtis, said CL4PZ. Yeah, Curtis should be back available. By the way, I think his eye injury should have cleared up by then. Hopefully. Thoughts on Nottingham Forest? Said Logan. Delighted to see them get a win over the weekend, mate. My wife's a Forest fan. Um, yeah, it's been a long time though since they've been back up in the top division, hasn't it? David Coleman said he was worried about Arsenal. He said that even saying that, mate. Even us admitting that publicly is all kinds of wrong, isn't it? You know what I mean? Like, that's mad. Time for fresh blood. Morton, please. Or perhaps, said Fabio. Would you feel comfortable starting Tyler Morton in the game? Tyler Morton, Jordan Henderson, Fabinho. I don't know about that. Yeah, I don't know about that. Now, look, I'm looking forward to seeing young Tyler Morton, and I certainly wouldn't be against giving them a run out in the Champions League games that we have left. I just think it's a big call. Origi should get minutes, not 10, depending on how the game goes. Yeah, like that's a good point. Is there a show here to put Origi through the centre? So is there a conversation to be had while Bobby's out about giving Divock an opportunity as a 9 and actually playing him through the centre? It's a conversation that I probably wouldn't have thought I'd be having 2 or 3 months ago. But, rewarding Divock for the positive impact that he has had at times this season, I think is a fair conversation to have. Because as I said, that goal he scored yesterday was an outstanding piece of centre forward play. It was a very, very, very good finish, and the quality of that goal will probably be lost in the context of the game. But I do think it was a top-notch finish from Divock Origi. Got to be Fabinho, Henderson and Thiago to the inside line. I think Origi deserves a chance, said Mixed Magician. Yes, Origi should play, said Adar. These youngsters are just filling bench space for players we should have bought, which I think is, I think it's not something we like to hear, Duder, but I think there's some merit to what you've said. When he's in form, he's really crazy. Origi is class, said Muzamil. Has to be Jota, said Joe Blog. I don't know. I'm really starting to come around to the idea of us actually using a proper number 9. I know what Bobby does, and I know what Bobby does is really difficult to replicate, but at some point, I do think we're just going to have another option. Because if Bobby's not around, and look, he's not a machine, there will be games he misses. Diogo Jota is an excellent player, great addition to the squad, but can he replicate enough of what Bobby does, or is he best served as maybe being a backup or an alternative player to Sadio Mane in the wide left position? David Coleman said I'd give Divock a chance. Same here, but playing Oxlade-Chamberlain, he ain't doing now, but Origi is at least contributing, which is a fair show. I mean, you can't do much more than contribute and come off the bench and score a goal, mate, which, he did and took very well. And look, another question, I suppose, is what has happened in the past 3 games that has seen Mohamed Salah be kept on the fringes of the game? And by that, I'm not knocking Mo. I don't think it's because Mo's playing worse or isn't putting in any more effort. I just mean, not only has he not scored in the past 3 games, he hasn't really been involved in front of goal a lot in the last 3 games in particular. Certainly against West Ham, they did a very good job of keeping them on the periphery of the game. Salah was man-marked out of the game yesterday, said Matthew. He was, and that's, I suppose, my point is, how do we get him back involved in the game? Do we have to maybe swap him over with Sadio Mane for a little bit to try and see if that works? Try and see if maybe the other fullback gets some issues with him. I just think it's imperative that we get Mohamed Salah back scoring again. And I don't think it's not because he's missing loads of sitters. I just think it's because we weren't able to get him as involved in the game in the final third as we would have liked. Got to stop shipping goals, said Paul Singer, which, it's very true, mate. 11 goals in 11 Premier League games this season speaks for itself. What about Mo playing up front? I love the idea of Mo playing through the centre. I've said this before. I think Mohamed Salah, as he gets a little bit older, could absolutely evolve into a centre forward, somebody like who reinvents himself, like Cristiano Ronaldo has done, but maybe with a bit more work rate. Um, so I'm not against that at all. But do we lose? Well, I don't know. Do we lose anything by doing that? It's a fair question. I don't know the answer to it because we haven't seen it. Let's all calm down. Christ, he hasn't scored for a few games. Nobody's having a pop at Mo here, mate. If you listen to what I'm saying, I said at the very start of this conversation around Mo that I don't think Mo's level has dropped. I don't think that Mo's missing a lot of chances, and I don't think he's not playing well. I think the problem for Mohamed Salah is that we're not getting him involved in the game enough. And my question was, how do we go about getting him more involved in the final third where he's devastating? So the question isn't to me sitting here bitching about Mo because I love Mo and Mo's level is right up here. My question is, why is he being on the periphery of the game for the last three games more so than he was previously in the season? Is it something we're doing, or is it something that the opposition is doing that they've figured out that we need to be aware of? That's kind of what I'm trying to say, mate. Robbo shouldn't be rested. He should be dropped. Let's be real. Yeah, I just don't like the phrase dropped, but that's why I said rested. And I do think that it is fair for Costas to be given an opportunity. Walter said, I think Mo was trying too hard yesterday. He tried to dribble past the entire West Ham squad a few times. Yeah, he did, in a very congested penalty area as well. And look, on a few occasions he got past a few of them, but yeah, you're right. He was trying to maneuver a situation that wasn't there at times. But look, what isn't there to Armir immortalise and what isn't there to the great Mohamed Salah is a different thing because, you know, the chance wasn't there against Manchester City. The chance wasn't there against Watford, but Mohamed Salah's magic made the chance. Duder said every Premier League team has progressed since we were champions. There's a few of our players who haven't, and that makes us stale. Need to strengthen. You know what? On that, Duder, my memory is of Jurgen Klopp saying that you need one or two signings every window, every season to refresh it, get new blood in, to keep people on their toes. That's why when I heard him saying in the summer about it being very difficult or almost impossible to come in and add to the quality of the squad, I just thought to myself, that's not what you were saying a while ago. You were talking a few seasons ago about always wanting one or two new players to refresh the group, keep people on their toes, keep the competitions for places, and to give the opposition something new to think about as well. Shane O'Reilly said, how Liverpool went through that transfer window without signing the likes of Bissouma is beyond me. A perfect replacement for Genie. Almost, a ready-made, perfect Premier League proven, box-to-box, good engine. I agree, Shane. We were saying it all summer as well. And, the even worse part is that I think they may have actually sold him for the right money. Andy said, does Liverpool's passing game seem to be a little bit off kilter, whereas previously they would not make obvious passes? Nowadays they appear a bit predictable. I mean, there were some lovely passes in yesterday. I mean, again, from John Matip from centre back, some very good balls through the centre. There is, and again, there was a really good piece written in The Athletic about how West Ham cut off the passing channels on the right hand side yesterday, which I didn't notice during the game. So, credit to the article. It was an excellent article that spoke about West Ham basically cutting off the supply to Henderson on the right hand side and basically just blocking those passing channels. If you get a chance, if you have an Athletic subscription, I'd certainly say give it a read. Lobel said, we've always been vulnerable to counter-attacking football. Also, we use zonal marking on corners, which has holes. Yeah, it does have holes, 100%. It allows your opposition player to get a run at you, and you're never going to outjump somebody, mate, when you're from a standing start position and they're getting up a full head of steam. So from that perspective, you're right. And we are susceptible to the counter-attack, but it's obviously because our fullbacks are so far forward, and even allowing Fabinho to drop back, we still haven't got enough to cover the space in between both, or excuse me, the space behind both fullbacks. Philip said, "Great channel, bro. Thank you, dude. Much appreciated." Some teams have learned how to play against us. Again, it's a fair point, and I wonder. How do I say this? Is that an indictment to Klopp? Like, if teams have, like, everybody knows when they play Liverpool, we're going to play a 4-3-3. You know that before we play the game, that's going to happen. Liverpool are going to set up 4-3-3 in some way, shape, or form, with different personnel. So yeah, maybe it is the fact that we need to have various other plans and we need to shake it up a little bit, because everybody knows how to exploit the space by our fullbacks. It's everyone knows it. You talk to any fan before the game, you know, if you were playing United, you talk to United fan, West Ham fan, everybody said the same thing. They're going to try and target on the fullback sides. They're going to try and turn over possession and play an immediate long ball over the top to try and get somebody pacey in behind. And is Klopp too stubborn at times? I guess Jake has said there in the chat, Klopp is very stubborn. Certainly with regards to substitutions, certainly would say, Jake, yes, very stubborn. Klopp will say he likes players to solve these little problems on the pitch, but on some occasions I think the manager needs to say enough is enough and make the changes. Will he be doing watch-alongs in the international break? Probably do the Ireland-Portugal game on Thursday. Other than that, I'm not sure, mate, to be honest with you. I think we need more styles of play. We're too predictable with side to side at times. Yes, if you're going to move the ball like that, and look, there were some great examples yesterday of West Ham having two banks of four and their two forwards, you know, pressing at times when our fullbacks were in possession, but mainly making sure that they had their two forwards and their two banks of four. And again, we were trying to shuffle them from side to side, but the way we were going about it, it just wasn't quick enough. You know, if you're going to try and break down a team that are sitting back like that, you've got to do it by creating overloads of space at the far post. And you probably remember, those that were joining me for the watch along, I was saying that I would like to see Robbo and Trent really hugging the width, making the pitch as big as possible, and then trying to maybe create those spaces for Mane and Mohamed Salah to operate in. I felt like we didn't make the pitch as wide as we could have yesterday. LFC said a 4-4-2 would be a suitable formation and have Origi and Jota up top. Certainly would be something to think about. And if we were going to try and adopt the 4-4-2 system, I think it would certainly be more beneficial to us to go out there and look for a real number 9. Midfield was a letdown, said Darlia. Yeah, I feel like we've gone full circle now, which is kind of a good way to finish up the stream. Our midfield, to me, it's always going to have an element of the unknown, and I don't mean that in a positive way. I mean that as in to each other, because we've had no consistency of midfield this season. Same way last season, we had no consistency of centre-backs because we weren't able to field a pair that would play 30 league games together. I think the same can be said of midfield. So let's say we spoke about United as an example. So we know that Manchester United are going to probably play Fred, McTominay and Bruno Fernandes, or Pogba, McTominay and Bruno Fernandes. You know, you look at Chelsea, their midfield fairly fixed. Kovacic is in there a lot of the time, maybe Kante in there. For us, I just feel like we don't know who's going to play in midfield, and when we do see a midfielder in there, we're unsure of how he's going to gel. So is he going to be more like Henderson on the left? Didn't work, even with young Harvey Elliott on the right. So for us, I think we need to just get a midfield trio that can go through 10 games together in a row and just see how they get on. That I genuinely would just love to see that. Right, a couple more comments before we finish up. Mitchell, don't like how clear it is to get at us. Hit it behind Trent. I love Trent, really do. He can be free without those defensive duties. We need to change something in that department. I agree, Mitchell. It's far too often now we're being attacked down that side because we haven't got the pace to cover Trent, or because lads are jogging back instead of breaking their bollocks trying to get back, for want of a better phrase. David said, Fabio, well said. This chat's like sitting in a pub with a bunch of mates and Craig's the man. I'm certainly not the man. I'm the conduit that I suppose clicks the chat together, but that's why I love it as well. It is just like sitting there with your mates having a chat. I'm trying to find the original comment there to give. Was it Fabio? Was that who it was? We lost one game and your chat is full of Einsteins telling Klopp to rip up the blueprint. See, here's the beauty, Andrew, and I mean this as kindly as I can. That's our fucking job, is to come in here and talk about the results, mate, and talk about what went wrong, and talk about what we could have done better. Are you telling me, Andrew, that you don't sit there with your mates talking about this and saying, Klopp should have done that, we should have done this, should have set up this way? It's par for the course, mate. None of us think we're going to come in and replace Jurgen Klopp, but it's our job to come in here and talk about it. And if you don't like it, and you don't think it's right, which is absolutely your prerogative, then just don't fucking watch. Is that what I mean? You don't have to be a smart art, Andrew. If you don't like it, don't watch. Or don't contribute. Or don't interact. It's fairly straightforward. We ridiculed Southgate for playing Trent in midfield, but if we played him on the right side of midfield with freedom to roam wide, would that not solve the issue? Potentially, but part of the reason why we're able to get joined down the right-hand side is between Trent, Henderson and Salah, that trio is often able to create an overload and an overlap. So yes and no, is the answer for me. If we put Trent out there, then Hendo's not going to be there. So we're going to not have 3 instead of 2 bodies, if that makes sense. So you often see that little triangle of play between Mohamed Salah, Henderson and Trent. And they can be interchangeable, but so many lovely little 1-2-3s in little triangles that opens up the space. What do I think of Costas on the left of midfield? Well, for the minute, I'd like to see him on the left of the defence. I think he's probably in better form than Robbo. What else there? When a team puts 10 men behind the ball, they always get a result against us. It's just facts. A lot of the time, Connor, yeah, man, you're spot on. Unless we pull out a worldie or score earlier on in the game, if we concede away from home against a team that just sits back, we do struggle at times. Yes, absolutely. And that's where maybe not having a Kevin De Bruyne or somebody who can pull out a moment of magic with like Hendo can do it occasionally, in fairness. Those whipped balls to the far post where, you drag a team on one side of the pitch and then really quickly shift it over the other side and there's a late run coming from a fullback or something at the far post. You've got to be really, 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 really precise when a team is sitting back and defending like that. Craig, what nights are you on this week? Most nights, to be honest with you, mate. I know we're on an international break, and to be honest with you, I thought this was going to be dead quiet tonight. So I'm pleasantly surprised to see so many people in the chat. But most nights, I know Jack's going to join me on Wednesday night and Sunday night. Thursday, I'll be doing a watch along of the Ireland-Portugal game. Tomorrow, I will at least do 1 video, maybe 2. So yeah, I'm going to head off now because I didn't realise quite how long I've been on. But look, I want to say thank you to you guys for a really fun chat tonight. I think we've covered a lot of stuff. I've loved how interactive it's been. These are my favourite type of shows where, we all chip in opinions and try and gauge a general consensus on things. Appreciate you giving up your time. Want to give a shout out to our sponsors again. The holidays are coming and Manscaped, the leading men's hygiene brand, have launched new products, including the all-new premium body wash and 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner. You can get 20% off and free shipping of that or anything else on manscaped.com using our discount code WFM20. Clean your nuts up and make Santa proud this year, ladies and gentlemen, and maybe get some of that special Christmas present. For those coming in that are asking about MBAPPE, no problem. Really quickly before we finish up, I'll just go back over what I spoke about Kylian Mbappe 1 second. So there's an outlet in Spain called El Nacional and Sportsmole who say that the Paris Saint-Germain forward is not convinced by Real Madrid boss Carlo Ancelotti. The report goes on to say Mbappe would rather learn from KLOPP were he at Real Madrid, which could put Liverpool on alert. So there you go. So basically, he doesn't like the look of Carlo Ancelotti, is the long and short of it. Which is mad because Ancelotti's a very good manager. But look, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your time tonight as always. Loads of fun. And hopefully we get back to winning ways soon. But I will see you guys tomorrow. Don't forget, drop a like on the video. If you haven't subscribed, please do hit the subscribe button. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks.